Shalom, welcome back. So today we're going to be making a Jamaican beef pot pie. Yes, so we're going to start off with 3 cups of all-purpose flour. And make sure that you guys like, share, and also subscribe to this channel because you definitely don't want to miss any upcoming recipes I have in store. And with that, we're going to go ahead and add 2 tablespoons of turmeric powder, and now in addition to that, we're going to add 2.5 tablespoons of Jamaican curry powder as well too. And then last, we're going to add 1 tablespoon baking powder. Now, all these dry ingredients combined, we're going to go ahead and combine these together. So give this a quick blend. And that's what you see me doing right now, just to incorporate all of those flavors together. And once you've done so, this is how it should look. What we're going to do is bring that right back because we're building these flavors. And because we want a very nice crust, we're going to use 2 sticks of butter. Make sure that your butter is cold. So prior to starting this recipe, go ahead and stick 2 sticks of butter in the freezer. And they can be frozen. That even works better because you want this butter cold. And you're just going to dice them into small cubes and then place them into the food processor. And once that's done, what we're going to do is take this back over to the food processor, but we're also going to be adding into addition to this, because you have to add your wet ingredients, which is we're going to be using 1 cup of water. And I have this water ice cold, you guys. So everything that's being added into this is ice cold. The purpose for this is so that the butter won't melt and we get a nice flaky crust. I also put it on low dough if you guys do have a Ninja, and it just does the work for you. And this is what your dough needs to look like. If it's a little dry, add just a little bit more water. But from there, we're going to start putting together the ingredients that's going to go into this pot pie. So I'm going to use 1 potato, and I did go ahead and dice this down to bite sizes, and I'm going to place them in water to give them a quick boil. Now I'm just going to boil them until they can get at least soft, not too soft, but just right. I am going to be using half an onion and also a yellow pepper, red pepper, and an orange pepper, and a habanero pepper. Now, usually you would put Scotch bonnet peppers, but I couldn't find them in my local store, so you can always substitute that with the habanero. And due to the fact that my children are going to be eating this, of course, I'm not going to be dicing the habanero pepper inside of this dish because I want my babies to be able to eat this, so they can't take too much spice. I can. I love spicy food. But of course, we adjust. Now, let's get started with that filling that's going to go in the pot pie. Let's start out with 1 pound of ground beef. Once your vegetables and everything has been chopped, we're going to pretty much set that to the side and build this up. Now this is going to be 2 tablespoons of Jamaican curry powder, And you're going to see me add Jamaican curry powder a little later as well. I'm also going to be using maybe about 1 tablespoon of salt, and this is sea salt, of course. And then I'm also going to be using 2 tablespoons of thyme. You can get dry or you can either get the fresh. I chose to go with the dry. It works just the same. And then I'm going to go in with some ground allspice as well too. Now this right here, you can basically go ahead and use half of a teaspoon. And then I'm going to go in with just a tablespoon of garlic powder. Now I'm going to go in with some onion powder, and this is also an addition to 1 tablespoon as well too. You can adjust the seasonings to your liking as well. We're going to give this a quick mix and let this cook up just a little bit. We're not going to add the vegetables, and as you can see, I've added the Jamaican powder or curry powder in addition to this again, like I said earlier. And it's because I really want to get that curry taste out of this as well. But we're not going to be adding the vegetables just yet because we want this meat to brown. Now I'm also going to quickly show you the potatoes are done, so we're going to set that to the side. And I also wanted to make sure I said this too. I'm going to be adding in addition to this some cumin powder. Now you can go ahead and adjust the seasonings the way you like them, but I only use at least a tablespoon. And then I'm going to go in with a tablespoon of minced garlic. And also in addition to this, I'm going to be adding all of my vegetables now that I've cut up, but not the habanero pepper just yet. You'll see me add that a little later. But also make sure that you guys are placing your flour in the fridge while this is getting prepared. Now, after all this is incorporated, I'm going to add a bag of mixed vegetables. You guys can use any vegetables that you guys want, but I just use mixed vegetables because I thought this would go great with this dish. And it doesn't matter, it could be frozen because that's fine. When the liquid basically melts down or defrosts, that's even better because we're going to be adding liquid to this anyways. As you can see right here, I have about a good 1 cup of water. If you guys need to add more water into this dish, feel free. I would suggest maybe about 1.5 cup of water. But after that, pretty much go ahead and cover it, let it sit and cook for a little bit. And then from there, go ahead and add your potatoes. And this is why I said earlier, you're going to cook your potatoes until they softened, but not too soft, to the point where it becomes mashed potatoes. And now I'm going to add that habanero pepper because the liquid's in there. So I'm just going to place it in there. I'm not going to dice it, cut it, or anything. I just wanted to basically accentuate the dish. That's it. And now I'm going to go in with a 1/2 cup of breadcrumbs. This is going to bring everything together. Go ahead and give that a quick mix. And you can taste it to see if you need any more salt. I did add additional salt to this, which it was just maybe like a tablespoon of salt. And as you can see, I'm holding the habanero pepper because I'm not trying to lose it, or I'm not trying to cut into it. Because if you don't have people that tolerate spice, of course you'd be considerate. And as you guys can see, this is just about done. And now it's complete. So as you can see, this is that end product of what's going to be the filling of the pot pie. Now I've turned off my heat at this point, and what I'm going to do now is focus on the crust. So I'm going to be removing my crust from the fridge, and this crust is still cold, and that's what you want. You're going to place a dusting of flour on your surface, and you might have a little bit more dough than what you need, but that's okay. You're just going to divide this into two doughs or two dough balls, because you're going to need your bottom crust and you're going to need your top crust. So as you guys can see on the screen, I have two dough balls, and I'm going to be removing one. I'll bring that back later, but I'm just basically going to knead it just a little bit for it to come together, and now I'm going to flatten it. And you do want your dough to be at least about 1 inch thick. This dough is very easy to mold and also roll out. So trust me, you won't have any problem, and you can definitely smell all of the spices that went into this dough. And if you guys could smell the kitchen, I'm trying to tell you, it smells so good. A quick technique is you just rolling the dough into the roll pin. But from there, what I'm going to do is bring out my dish that I'm going to place my dough in. And I did spray some butter spray in this dish, only because I want to be able to get that crust down at the bottom very buttery. And I'm going to poke some holes into this as well too, to give it that air so it can cook the dough. And I'm going to stick this in the oven at 350 degrees for approximately about 5 minutes, just to get this dough cooked at the bottom, because I don't want it to be really doughy. And once that's finished, it will look like that. It's okay if your crust on the outer side doesn't look as great, because we're going to be covering that up anyways. And then what you can do is, even your crust on the outside might not be all the way cooked, and that was the whole point, is just to cook the inner crust. And once that's done, you would do the same thing, repeat the process for the dough on the top as far as rolling it out. And then now you just place it on there, and from here what I'm doing is I'm taking a fork and I'm actually combining the two doughs together. And like I said earlier, it's okay if that dough at the bottom didn't look all great, because the dough on the top is going to make it look better. And I'm just placing the fork on the edges and pretty much closing and sealing it. And now I'm going to be poking holes, so therefore the air can seep through and also in, so everything gets cooked the way it's supposed to be. And now I'm going to lightly spray this with a little bit of cooking butter as well too, because butter makes the world go round, you guys. I'm telling you. And as you guys can see, my crust is looking so delicious right now. I haven't even cooked it. But what you're going to do is place this in the oven for maybe about 20 minutes. And when it's done, there you have it. Let it rest a little bit, and then after you've let it rest for about a good 5 minutes so it to cool down, you can now go ahead and cut right into it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. With that, stay strong, stay healthy, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Stay in the spirit, and with that, I will see you in the next recipe. Shalom.